Hey guys, welcome back to the Art Corner. I'm glad to be here painting for you today, and it's dead of winter. And it's not real cold yet, but it's gonna be, so get ready. I wanted us to escape today, so I thought what we would do is sail away. Have you ever been walking on the beach and seen one of those sailboats way off in the distance and all the seagulls around it, and you can hear the seagulls? That's where we're going. I've got a medium-sized canvas. I'm going to use oil today, and I'm going to do kind of an impressionistic style for a ship, and I want you to actually smell it. I want you to smell the sea and feel the waves and the wind in your face, and just get out of winter just for a little while on this TV show today. So join me as we get started. I've sort of started sketching just a little bit of our ship. It's real loosey-goosey. The top is very narrow, and we're going to lose most of this pencil drawing as I get into the oil. That's okay, you just redraw it with your paint. I left a lot down here because one of the big cool things about this picture is the reflection on the water. And I just love those seagulls. I mean, they're all just waiting around on lunch, and they're just enjoying the day. And we're going to use a palette knife today too. I thought that would be kind of fun, easy breezy. And if you're not a high detail artist and you want to piddle a little bit with paint, palette knives are fun. If you can ice a cake, you can use a palette knife. Now I'm just kind of getting my horizon here sketched in so I'll know where the land stops and the water starts. I am going to spray that just so that I don't lose that line. Let's let that dry just a second. Air that off and fan me too. There we go. And I've got my palette kind of ready. I practiced on this one, so we've got aquamarine blue, yellow, just a little bit of red, a lot of white, some black, and another palette with white all by itself on this one. And it would really be helpful if we could let it dry a day or so and then go back in and ice on another layer. So I won't be able to do that here today, but I'd like for you to do it at home. But just watch me as I get started. I'm gonna kind of get your background going. With background, I'm gonna use a little bit of a larger brush. This is the palette knife I've chosen. It's plastic. It's real flat, it's not super sharp, and I just like this little plastic one, so that's what I'm going to use today. Here's I'm going to use a little linseed oil in this one. You don't have to, but for time's sake, it makes it go a little faster. So let's get started on our background. I'm going to dip my brush in my aquamarine, put it in my oil, and start sort of blending the background. I'm going to get a little black too. I want those edges really kind of dark. Now I want it thick and sloppy. So see, you can get kind of crazy. Impressionism is so much fun because you can get kind of thick and sloppy with it. Go ahead and get my edges dark. Got a little glare, so I may move around a little bit today. Remember in oil to wear your apron and have mineral spirits or turpentine low odor with you because that's your cleaning agent. That's what you're going to clean your brush with. And a lot of artists use it to thin your paint down, but I don't think we'll be needing it to thin today. We kind of want to be thick, and I got a little much there. Let's bring it on down here. Let's go ahead with that dark because there's a dark area here. And get this, use this paint that I accidentally put on there. And when you do accidentally put something on, get your paper towels ready. I'm gonna sit them over here by themselves. You can wipe it off. One good thing about paint, you're not getting a tattoo. It's not gonna be permanent forever and always. You can always wipe it off and it goes away. Now, I'm going to highlight this center area before we start getting in too much closer. so that we've got a little highlight around right behind that sailboat. So I'm going to use white and yellow and just sort of get this on here first before we get all that heavy blue around it. Now, I practiced this once, but I have been on vacation for a couple of weeks for the holidays, and I can tell I am rusty. If you don't paint every day, and you're an artist and it's your job or it's your hobby and you want to be good at it, you're going to get rusty if you don't paint every day. That's just the way it is. It's like practicing the piano. If you don't practice, you really do. You get rusty. You have muscle memory and you remember a lot, but you have to work to get that flow and that brush stroke back in place. Highlight, highlight. Let me add a little more yellow. One thing that you have to be careful when you mix yellow and blue, what do you get? You get green. So you have to be careful. There we go. We got some green going on there, which is fine. As long as you see a little yellow. Don't want it too thick. We're going to have a white sail. Let's get that messy on up in here. See, with Impressionism, and some people might even call this almost abstract. Abstract is like a step beyond Impressionism. But it's really big right now. Your contemporary paintings are selling like hotcakes. Ooh, we got a little blue on there too. Let me change brushes, see if that helps. But they really are selling. A lot of the young people like the contemporary paintings. And I'm an old oil collector. I like to collect the old stuff because I really admire the old painters, and I think you can learn by just living around them, having them in your home. But you can also mix in your house the contemporary paintings with some of the old oils, and it gives you a really artsy, eclectic look. This one will be considered a contemporary in your home. Now, let's go back to that heavy blue. Let's blend them together and get our background. There we go. Now, I bet you're not smelling the beach yet, but hopefully before we get through, you'll start feeling like you're there. I'm just going to leave that there intentionally. Get a little drama. Now, let's get some more blue over here. And I want to see brush strokes in this painting. So let's get a little, I'm going to get my palette knife out and kind of get it warmed up. And one thing a palette knife does is it helps show kind of a roughness. Here we go. To your painting, it shows a little bit of, I like a little ratchet. You know what I mean? Like I like to see some crud. And this helps show a little crud or a little ratchet. You can sort of make it look, here we go, this is what we want right here. I like a little crud and ratchet. Let's get some of this going. I'm adding more paint. You just sort of put it on like cake icing. Swirl it around, lay it flat. Now I will use my brush to blend and kind of get things a little smooth here and there, but this is what I want. I want this rough. Look here. And you can just shove it around like this, sort of scrape it. Trying to blend in that dark with this highlight around the ship. Let me go back to my brush. Pull some of that blue into this. Then you can get your palette knife and ratchet it back up again. Now I'm going to get, what I'm doing, of course, like I always talk about, is my background first. And believe me, every artist has their way of doing their thing. Every artist doesn't do background first. There's an artist in Bristol here I admire so much, and a lot of times he will go ahead and do his subject and then get into his background. Now that takes some skill, but he's very good at it. A lot of artists do that. I feel more comfortable going ahead and getting this background in, and then I can pull everything forward and all my high detail is right there, and I don't have to redraw it. I'll pull some more of this dark down in here. You know, I've heard people say, oh, there's no mistake when you paint. Yeah, there are mistakes when you paint. You have to kind of make it look like your subject, and in order to do that, you kind of have to follow some rules. So don't think you can just go crazy and it not look like your subject. You just really can't do that. You have to pay attention to your darks and lights, to your scale, to your highlights, to your depth, your dimension, all that, and those are rules. Now, down here, the water is going this way. So I'm going ahead and start getting some of my water. I'm going to add some more white down here, a little more yellow. I'm just going back and forth. Little black. Let's get a little black so we can have some gray on the scene. Here we go. And I'm going to pull all this down because this is the water. So it's got a different feel than the sky, even though they kind of connect. A little more gray with my blue. And like I've said before, in any painting, black and white are your best friends. You use an awful lot of those two colors. And they're really not colors, but you use an awful lot of that paint. So buy you a great big white and a great big black. There we go. Pull some of that gray up in here and soften that some. I like the gray in this. This looks good. Tones it down some. I'm gonna add a little white to it. A lot of people this time of year that have a beach house are there. This is when you go. This is one of the benefits to having a beach house, is going in January. Might be a little windy, but I think it'd be well worth it. And if you're one of those people that suffers from seasonal depression, this would be the time of year you struggle, especially as the winter lags on. This is just January. You know, you've got a couple more months. I recommend painting. It's a wonderful, wonderful, relaxing thing to do. You kind of don't think for a while as far as what's going on around you. You can just kind of get lost in what you're doing. Wonderful escape. Started to do a candle, and I thought, it's just too drab and dreary. Let's go to the beach. Now, let me get this dark right in here. It's important that we keep this bottom part kind of straight so that you can see it's different. Now I am going to pull up a little bit here. Just a little bit because it is contemporary. There we go. We don't want a total straight line there. Now let's play palette knife just for a little bit. I'm just scraping off excess and kind of just seeing where we are with it. Here we go. It's got a lot of color. But let's go ahead and get some irregularity to this. And this is not my original piece. I'm copying somebody off the internet, so I'm not going to be selling it. But this artist would go back and forth, you can tell, with the palette knife and leave a little start-stop scraping part, and I loved it. One of the reasons I chose this. And what this artist would probably do, for example, is get the white and go this way and just sort of, and then go sideways and then pull down. Let's try that here. Got to get this white going here anyway. Sideways and then pull down. Sideways, pull down. And the white is kind of in a definite spot on this bottom part because it's a reflection of the sail, which we haven't done yet. So I'm going to just trying to cover my canvas. Sideways, pull down. There we go. How fun is that? We'll be doing that along the waterway here so that you can see waves and little rivets. Have you all noticed how popular though painting is right now? A lot of people are trying their hand at it. It's because it's a lot of fun, it really is. Now I am going to get a small sharper brush and I'm going to do the sail, or just sort of redraw our boat. I lost some of it in the doing the background, and we're not through with the background either, but I want to go ahead and get this rolling. Looking at my phone as well. Here is my line for my sail right here. And it's pretty tall. Bring it on up here. Try to make a steady hand. And I don't necessarily, I just want to see where it is myself. There it is. And the top part's very thin, and then it just kind of swooshes out. I'm going to use my palette knife and scrape a little more background before we start getting into that. Listen, this one's going to go pretty fast because when you do Impressionism or abstract painting, it does. It goes a little faster than realism. Sometimes a realistic painting will take me 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 weeks. Because you just have to do a little bit at a time. You really have to focus and concentrate on every little aspect of the detail. There we go. Ratchet, ratchet. It's so funny. I notice whenever if I ever sell anything, like furniture or something you hope to sell, people buy it if it's got cracks in it or if it's, you know, kind of ratchet. People just like that look. And it's hard to find in new furniture. You've seen a lot of people overseas try to imitate that. But it's a really cool look and it sells quicker than anything. Go. Let's finish off that background right underneath that sail. Kind of dark right in there. We got to have a little lightness so those birds can fly around. You can see them. There we go. I hope you're not homesick with the flu watching this. Everybody is sick right now. And if you are, I hope I'm entertaining. I got me a great big nice, a couple years ago, flu couch I call it. And it's huge. And it is a great couch if you have the flu. So I hope that you all have a nice flu couch at your house. Here we go, up and down. Now, I'm ready to get into just a little more detail on this ship. Are you starting to see it? You can kind of sort of see the imprint. Now, this white's gotten mixed with some blues. I may have to squirt a little body all by itself. Let's go ahead and get the white on the ship. And there is a little detail on this ship. It's got a tad little bit of a little bottom with a little yellow. And then there's a, I'm not a ship person, so I'm not sure what all these things are called. But there's a little sticky up part here. We're going to get that on. Getting some fresh white out. Now when you are dealing with oil, lots and lots of times, you know, it mixes. It's not like acrylic that dries really fast. Oil stays wet a long time. So if it touches each other while it's wet, it blends. It's just a different animal, and you have to really practice with the oil to get good at it, but it's my favorite. Now, I'm going to get into a little tiny bit of black so I can show some detail. There's a little shadow here. Just the anatomy of the boat. Then we have a very strong, solid black line. Now what I'm going to do, this is a little trick. I want to sharpen my brush on the edge of my plate right here. And then I'm going to hold my arm against the table like this, because I need to have a real strong, solid black line here. And if you're working with an easel, your hand and arm are away. And if you're doing a straight line, it's real easy to get off track. So put your elbow against your table or some kind of surface. A lot of artists will even use a bar to steady their hand. And that keeps your hand steady as you do these dark, straight lines. And you're pinpointing where the ship is landed there on the sea, where it's sitting. And then we're going to go on down here with a couple more of these straight black lines. There's one here. Oh, these are fine. And I'll mess them up a little bit in a minute with the palette knife. All right, now before I get into too many more of these, I want to go ahead and finish my ship. Here we go. But this is just a really neat tip to keep a steady hand like that, okay? Now, let's see if we can get this sail going. Not sure if I can. I think it's going to be wet. It doesn't make any difference how long we wait. So I'm going to just wipe off my palette knife. I've got a little fresh white. I'm going to go ahead and squirt some more out. Just do it in a plate all by itself. That way it won't blend with your other colors. And what I want to do is get, I do have a little blue on there, get the tip of your palette knife. Let me look at that good. Okay. And it's just so high I'm not able to put my arm down, but let's see if we can do this. There we go. Hang on. All right, 1 second. There we go. I want that top part really thin, so I work kind of hard to get that. Then you want to, I want to make sure this is thick so it doesn't get in all my blue. It's okay if there's a little in there. I don't want it to be perfect. This is, like I say, a contemporary piece. Then I'm just going to pull that down. Oh, this is fun. You've got to try this. Get about this much paint, a glob. Oil painting's kind of expensive because if you want it to look good, you've got to use a lot of paint. And just ice it like this. Get it straight and pull it. Straight and pull it. Like this. Oh, it makes me want to go to the beach. There we go. Now, one thing I do have to be careful, there is a bottom to this sail, and I want to make sure I get that in. It's about right here, and I want to keep that straight and it goes down a little bit, okay? Let's bring this on over. Bring it on over. But you can see the brush strokes in the sail, and that's what I want. Let's bring it on down. I'm getting into this big expensive blob of white paint. And I'm carefully going up my pole here with it. And then I'm going to scoot it out. And you can bring your hand up and pull it out like that. Okay. Now let's get radical. This is very thick in this painting. And it's important we do the same thing to make it, we want to make it look breeze blown. You know, we want to see some motion in this painting. So let's go ahead and pull that like that. And you can see the breeze blowing that sail. Here we go. Pull, pull. There we go. Now I'm going to keep that top kind of wispy. Now I do need to finish this up here. I'll do that with a brush. I don't want to mess it up. Isn't that cool? It's okay that there's a little blue in there. I think it looks kind of good. I do want a real heavy white feel here. So I'm going to spend about $25 right here on that white glob. It's worth it. Nah, it wouldn't be that much. Here we go. And it'll take this oil painting 3 months or longer to dry. But you know what? I like a thick oil. There we go. There we go. Now I'm going to let that rest just a second. And I'm going to take my little sharp nylon brush, clean it off real good, get it in my white paint, and let's do some detail here. This pole comes on down. There's a little something back here. All you sailors know what this stuff is. I don't know. But there's some little something right back here. And then this pole, you see it and you don't. You know what I mean? We don't want it to be so definite. You know that there's one there, but you don't have to have a white pole. Now at the very, very top, I do want to make that a little more distinct. Clean my brush a little bit more. It keeps blending with my blue. That's why I have this little jar here, mineral spirits. Get that cleaned off when I need to. There we go. Now I am going to get my brush and play to get this white a little more solid in here. There we go. Just sort of turn my brush sideways and help get some of that a little more solid. Now, there's a little something dangling down here. Don't know what it is. It dangles all the way down. The boat itself actually stops right in this area. It's on the move. And then this is the hard part. We do have some white lines or white rope that's holding this sail. Now you only get one shot or two to get these right. So I'm going to hold on to my canvas here, take my brush and hold my breath and just go on down like this. There we go. There's one. And they don't have to be absolutely perfect, but they need to end up about right there. You want to see white, so I got to add a little more white to that. Probably could do that with my palette knife, but here we go. Careful, careful. Let's have a little more white showing. Let's see if I've got another brush that might be better. I think this is probably about as good as it's going to get. That's a little thick. So what I might do is straighten that out with my palette knife. Let's see if this works. Y'all can just be my guinea pig. Let's see if I can get this straighter with the palette knife. Maybe so. Let's just get a little white on the edge of that palette knife. I'll try it here. Hey, that's gonna work. Now I'll clean it up a little bit here in a minute. I think that's gonna work. So the edge of my palette knife is real sharp. Not too much paint, but just kind of slide some rope in here. There we go. I want it a little imperfect anyway. If it's too perfect, it won't match the painting. There we go. I should have done that at the beginning. And it just helps. You can see those ropes that are attached to that ship like that. We're going to use this also for the birds. Oh yeah, that works good. Now we've got, I want to get that one big one on there good. So let me get this white on the side of my brush. That's not super straight. You know why it's not super straight? I can't hold my arm against the table. So you don't have the control. Let me see if I can't straighten it out just a little bit. All right. Now I'm gonna get my brush and do some damage control here. Let's get rid of a little of that rope. It's not necessary. And that's one reason you do background first. Whenever you make a mistake, you can get that background and blend in with oil especially. Blend it right into the background. Now I'll go back over that white, that one white little spot here in just a minute. Let me get my bearings and I will, let's finish up this ship. Now there's a little teeny bit of red on the top part of that ship. Now I've talked to you about red before. It's a little monster. All you need is just a tiny little bit. So it's got one little bit of red right there. And if it gets blended in with anything else, it takes over. Kind of like me. Red's a control freak. And it turns everything pink that it touches. So I wonder what kind of person red is. All right, here we go. I'm going to work on that little nodule there. Let's add a little bit of black to it. There we go. One side. Get some black on one side. There we go. That helps it a lot. It helps it look more architectural. And there's a little bit of junky stuff down here to make it look shippy. Now, as I let that sail rest a little bit, I want to get down into the reflection of the sail in the water. Let's finish our blue here. That sail's going to be more right in this area. Get a little black in that blue, so you see more contrast. A little black here too, but not much because the boat is also reflected in the water. And I think that's one reason I picked this picture. I loved the reflection. So I'm pulling up, pulling up. Pulling up, just getting a little blue on here. And then I'm going to go play crazy with the white. There we go. Add just a little yellow so we have a little bit of green in that ocean. And there's also, this is a highlight reflection too. Oh, that is a little digger. There we go. Okay. Remember, I lost one of my lines. Okay, good, we'll do it with a palette knife. That'll be fun. Bring some black up in here, just a little bit. right here, right here, right here. Okay, now we're starting to scale down our white so that we can see a reflection of the sail. So let's get our palette knife again. I'm going to dig it into the white again, and let's do some reflection here. Look, just take this white and pull it down like this. Now this is the fun part too. You just take it and sort of go sideways and down, sideways and down. And that's showing a little bit of a water, maybe a break in the water or a wave or a, there we go, sideways down, sideways down. Now, I'm going to get just a tit-tat of that red because there's a reflection of that red right there. Okay. Get back into your white again, right here. Ratchet, ratchet, here we go. Sideways down, there we go. Now, you can see sort of the reflection of that sail in the water. There we go. I am going to play a little more on the sail, just a little bit. Get one big chunk of swoop right here again. I just had to kind of let it rest and dry so it would take it. There we go. There we go. I just wanted a solid swoop of white right there. Now, this may be behind, so it's not quite as bright. And I'm going to take what's left over, Lord willing, and try to get this line straight. I'll take that. Now, swoop it on out, swoop it on out. Oh, diddle squat, there went some blue. There we go. A little bit's okay, but not a lot. Let me wipe off my palette knife. I'm telling you what, oil paint, see I've already got it on my sweater. Oil paint is messy, messy, messy. Glad I got my apron on today. Okay. Little bit of white leftover remnant back here. And actually you're going to see, let's get our birds going. Going to use my palette knife. And I'm going to put solid white on the tip of it. And we'll just start with a low bird here. There we go. They're just kind of flat little, oh, they're so hungry. Not real big, but they need to be irregular and not perfect by any means, okay? Some of them are going this way. Let's get some of them going sideways. A lot of paint on here. A lot of wet oil paint, so you may have to add a little more paint to your palette knife. There we go. There we go. Ooh, that's a big thick one. We'll take him down a notch. Just take some of that off. Go back over it with some blue. There we go. Tell you that background is real handy. And these are real loose, not realistic. This is an abstract or impressionist painting at best. Okay, so it's supposed to be kind of loose and free. Remember, we're at the beach. Here we go. And that's what we want to be, is loose and free. Here we go. There's more, there's more. There's some little ones way off in the distance, but there's a lot of them. So we want to make sure we get enough birds on there. You know what I've noticed when I paint? I'm starting to sound like Bob Ross. I don't mean to. I understand why he got quiet and whispered. You're concentrating, and it's hard to talk and paint. I don't mean to. Here we go. Let's get some more over here. That one's closer, so he's a little bigger. Let's get some little ones off in a distance. You don't really know how far away they are. You don't really see them that well, but they're there. Even just a little swat of a bird. Hang on. Let's get some leftover white. Just do some little things like this. So they look kind of like leftover bird, you know, way back in the distance. I want a lot. I want a little slew of birds here. They're waiting on lunch. I see one area here I can work on. Lord, I've got enough white paint on this sail to ice a birthday cake. There we go. Little teeny one up there. Little one here. And you've got to remember, they're in the water too. They're going to be reflected down here. So they have to be this way in the water. Actually, they can be anyway, but they have to be reflected in this water. So they're down in here. You don't see them perfect because it's a reflection, but you can see that they're there. Okay? And something else I want to do is I want to get some more black. I know I'm swaying around a lot today, and I want to do some long reflective lights here. Lines, I mean, like this. My palette knife and get it on top of the reflection. This goes on top of your white reflection. This. It's almost painting with a popsicle stick is what it feels like. Let me get my brush, sort of even some of those out. You can always fine tune with your paintbrush, and I recommend it. Fine tune some of those lines. Hold my elbow down. Oh, I can tell I'm rusty. You got to paint every day. I'm back to work now, so I'm going to be painting every day. And I'll be glad because I'll get better. The more you paint, the better you get. Not too many, but a few more. I'm going to add a couple of white lines on top of that black. There we go. Now, not too many more. See if I've forgotten anything. Yes, we need to get a little teeny black dot on the front of those seagulls so that you can see that they have a little beak. Just like this, just a few little white black dots, and that helps you see what they are, that they're little birds up there. And you may even want to pull one of those black lines one way or the other. Take it and pull it like that. They start looking a little more like birds when you have that little black dot. Can you tell there's seagulls all over that little boat out at the ocean? I hope that you've drifted away and you've learned a little bit today. This is kind of a new thing. It's quick and easy, a lot of fun. I'm going to do a few more little white ratchets across here, and then we're going to call it a day. There we go. That's one neat thing about impressionistic painting, is you can kind of do your own little thing and make it, you know, just kind of make it fun, light and easy. There we go. And it seems kind of like really the rougher it is, the better people like it. My goal for the new year, one of the things I want to do some experimenting with is some large canvas contemporary. And just try my hand at that, see how I do. It doesn't hurt to fail. If it doesn't work out, at least I gave it a shot. So that's one of the things I want to do with my artwork. And I'd also like to get better at portrait art. That's something I want to work on. If I ever get better at it, I'll share with you here. Thank you for joining me today on the Art Corner. Stay creative.